Dream Fuel Stories, The Power of Patience. Hey there, before you close your eyes tonight, I want to share a story with you. A story that can shift the way you think, give your heart peace, and fill you with hope for tomorrow. Tonight, let's take a few minutes to recharge together and remind ourselves that strength is always closer than we think. Life has a way of testing us, doesn't it? Some days feel like we're pushing against an immovable wall, wondering if our efforts will ever pay off. But what if I told you that some of the most beautiful transformations happen in silence, in darkness, when we can't even see the progress being made? Tonight's story is about patience, not the kind that makes us passive, but the kind that gives us the courage to keep believing when everything around us suggests we should give up. It's about understanding that growth isn't always visible, but it's always happening. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's explore how patience can become your greatest superpower. What part of your day today made you feel challenged? Write it in the comments. I want to know. Because tonight's story is about those moments when we feel stuck, when our efforts seem invisible, and when we wonder if we should just give up. The seed that wouldn't surrender. Alex had always been the impatient type, in a world of instant everything. Instant coffee, instant messages, instant gratification. Waiting felt like a foreign concept. So when his grandmother left him her old house with its overgrown garden, Alex's first instinct was to tear everything down and start fresh. The house sat on a hill overlooking the valley, its windows dusty and its paint peeling like old memories. The garden was a jungle of weeds, tangled vines, and what appeared to be nothing but failure. Alex rolled up his sleeves, grabbed a shovel, and began clearing what seemed like years of neglect. That's when he found it. A small packet tucked inside an old watering can, weathered and faded. Inside were seeds, and attached was a note in his grandmother's careful handwriting. For Alex, when you're ready to learn about time, plant these in the dry patch behind the oak tree. Trust the process, even when you can't see the magic happening. Love, Grandma Rose. Alex smiled sadly. Even from beyond, his grandmother was trying to teach him something. He looked at the dry patch. It was the most barren spot in the entire garden. Hard-packed earth that looked like it hadn't seen rain in months. It seemed like the worst possible place to plant anything. But something in his grandmother's words made him pause. He'd always respected her wisdom, even when he didn't understand it. So that afternoon, Alex took the seeds to the barren patch behind the old oak tree. The ground was so hard he had to use a pickaxe to break through. With each strike, he wondered if he was wasting his time. He planted the seeds anyway, watered them, and waited. Days passed. Nothing. Alex checked every morning, hoping to see tiny green shoots pushing through the earth. Instead, he saw the same barren ground, now with slight indentations where he'd planted the seeds. He began to doubt his grandmother's wisdom. Maybe the seeds were too old. Maybe the soil was too poor. Maybe this was all just a sentimental mistake. Weeks turned into months. Alex had started working on other parts of the garden, areas where quick results were possible. He planted flowers that bloomed within weeks, vegetables that grew rapidly in the fertile soil. These gave him satisfaction, proof that his efforts mattered. But every morning, he'd glance toward the dry patch behind the oak tree, and every morning his heart sank a little more. Spring came and went. Summer arrived with its blazing heat, and the dry patch looked even more hopeless. Alex began to water it less frequently. What was the point? Clearly, nothing was going to grow there. His neighbor, Mrs. Chen, often stopped by to chat while Alex worked in the garden. One particularly hot July afternoon, she noticed him staring at the empty patch. "Still waiting for something to grow there?" she asked gently. "My grandmother left me some seeds," Alex explained, feeling foolish. "I planted them months ago. I think they were probably dead to begin with." Mrs. Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Your grandmother Rose was quite the gardener, you know. She used to tell me about patience. Said some of the most beautiful things in life require more time than we want to give them." "But it's been months," Alex protested. "If something was going to grow, wouldn't it have happened by now?" Mrs. Chen smiled. "Have you ever seen a bamboo plant grow?" Alex shook his head. "For the first year, you see nothing. Sometimes even 2 years. The plant is working underground, developing a root system so strong and extensive that when it finally breaks through the surface, it can grow 3 feet in a single day. But if you gave up after the first year, you'd miss one of nature's most spectacular displays." That conversation stayed with Alex. He began researching his grandmother's gardening methods, discovering that she was known for growing rare plants that others couldn't manage. She had a reputation for patience and for understanding that some of life's most precious gifts require extended faith. Autumn arrived, painting the valley in brilliant colors. Alex had fallen into a routine of tending his flourishing garden while giving minimal attention to the stubborn dry patch. But something Mrs. Chen had said kept nagging at him. He started watering the patch again, more consistently this time. Winter blanketed everything in snow. The dry patch was indistinguishable from the rest of the dormant garden. Alex spent the cold months inside, planning for spring, but occasionally he'd look out his window toward the oak tree and wonder about those seeds sleeping beneath the frozen ground. Then came the second spring. Alex was working near the vegetable beds when Mrs. Chen called out excitedly from near the oak tree, "Alex, come quickly!" He dropped his tools and ran toward her voice. Mrs. Chen was pointing at the ground, her face beaming with delight. There, pushing through the hard earth, were dozens of tiny green shoots. They were small, barely visible unless you knew where to look, but they were unmistakably alive. Alex knelt down, hardly believing what he was seeing. After more than a year of apparent failure, the seeds were finally sprouting. His grandmother's seeds were growing. "What are they?" he whispered. Mrs. Chen examined the delicate shoots carefully. "If I'm not mistaken, these look like evening primrose, your grandmother's specialty. They're known for taking their time, but when they bloom—" She paused, smiling. "When they bloom, they're absolutely magical." Throughout that second spring and into summer, Alex watched the shoots slowly develop into sturdy plants. His patience had been tested for over a year, but now he understood what his grandmother had been trying to teach him. Some things, the most worthwhile things, simply cannot be rushed. By late summer, the evening primrose plants had grown tall and strong. Their buds were forming, promising the spectacular blooms that Mrs. Chen had described. But Alex realized that the real magic wasn't going to be in the flowers themselves. The magic was in what had happened to him during that long year of waiting. He had learned to tend something without seeing immediate results. He had discovered that faith isn't about knowing the outcome. It's about continuing to care for something even when progress is invisible. His impatience had transformed into something deeper. Trust. Trust in processes he couldn't see, trust in outcomes he couldn't predict, trust in the wisdom of time itself. One evening in late August, as golden hour light filtered through the oak tree's branches, the first evening, primrose bloomed. The flower was more beautiful than Alex had imagined. Delicate yellow petals that seemed to glow in the fading light. More buds were preparing to open, and Alex realized he was witnessing the beginning of something extraordinary, But as he sat there watching his grandmother's gift finally reveal itself, Alex understood that the real gift had been the waiting itself. In learning to be patient with the seeds, he had learned to be patient with himself. In trusting the invisible process of growth, he had developed his own invisible strength. The next morning, he found a second note from his grandmother, tucked in a different part of the watering can, a note he had somehow missed before. It read, "The most beautiful transformations happen slowly, in darkness, when we can't see them happening. Trust the process, especially when you can't see the progress. The roots you can't see are often stronger than the growth you can. With love and patience, Grandma Rose." Alex smiled, finally understanding. His grandmother hadn't just left him seeds. She had left him a masterclass in patience. She had known that in our fast-paced world, learning to wait, to trust, to believe in invisible progress would be one of the most valuable skills he could develop. As the weeks passed and more evening primrose bloomed, creating a stunning display behind the oak tree, Alex found himself applying this lesson to other areas of his life. His relationships became deeper because he stopped expecting immediate emotional returns. His work became more meaningful because he focused on long-term value rather than quick wins. His dreams became more achievable because he learned that sustainable progress often happens slowly. The garden became a place of pilgrimage for him, not just because of its beauty, but because of what it represented. Every morning, as he tended to both the quick-growing plants and the patient evening primrose, Alex remembered that life operates on different timelines. Some joys come quickly, but the most profound transformations require time, faith, and the courage to keep nurturing something even when you can't see it growing. If you're feeling inspired by Alex's journey, show some love with a like and drop a comment below. Your support means everything to this community. If you were Alex during those long months of waiting, what would have kept you going? What would you do to move forward when nothing seemed to be working? Which part of this story touched you the most? Was it the moment Alex found the seeds, the long wait, or the final blooming? Comment below and tell me why. Take a moment and think about today. No matter how hard it felt, tomorrow is another chance. Even a tiny step can turn your whole day around. Believe in the power of small actions. Like Alex's seeds, the most important work in your life might be happening beneath the surface, invisible to the naked eye, but absolutely essential for your growth. Maybe you've been working toward a goal that feels impossibly slow to manifest. Maybe you've been investing in relationships that don't seem to be flourishing as quickly as you'd hoped. Maybe you've been developing skills or healing from experiences that feel like they're taking forever to show results. Tonight, I want you to consider that your patience isn't passive. It's powerful. Every day, you choose to keep believing, keep trying, keep nurturing your dreams despite not seeing immediate results. You're building invisible strength. You're developing roots that will eventually support something beautiful. The world will tell you that if something doesn't happen quickly, it's not worth pursuing. But some of life's most precious gifts, deep love, meaningful careers, genuine healing, lasting happiness, require time to develop properly. They need seasons of invisible growth before they can bloom into something extraordinary. Your patience is not a weakness or a delay. It's the very force that allows transformation to happen authentically and sustainably. Question to viewers. What is one small thing you can do tomorrow to feel stronger and more hopeful? Just like Alex had to water those seeds every day without seeing results, what small daily action could you commit to, even when progress feels invisible? If this story gave you even a little spark of hope, show it by hitting that like button right now. It tells me These stories are reaching the right hearts. Share it with a friend who might need to hear about the power of patience tonight and come back tomorrow. We'll check in on today's story and see how it unfolded. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe to Dream Fuel Stories so every night you can end your day inspired. Tomorrow night, we're diving into something equally powerful: the courage to begin again. It's about a lighthouse keeper who lost everything in a storm but discovered that sometimes our greatest breakdowns are actually setups for our most incredible breakthroughs. If you've ever felt like you're starting over from scratch, tomorrow's story will remind you that new beginnings aren't punishments, they're gifts. I truly believe that these stories find their way to exactly the people who need them most. If you're here tonight, feeling the weight of waiting, wondering if your patience will ever pay off, know that your story is still being written. The most beautiful chapters often come after the longest, quietest periods of growth. Until tomorrow, remember, your patience isn't just waiting. It's creating space for miracles to unfold in their perfect time. Sweet dreams, and thank you for letting me be part of your evening routine. Do you have your own story of courage or hope? Share it in the comments. We might feature it in our next video.